guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we've got another UFC preview and predictions. The main event this weekend is the return of the former bantamweight king in T.J. Dillashaw. He is returning to take on Cory Sandhagen, where the winner of that fight is most likely next for the World Championship opportunity against probably the winner of the rematch between Aljamain Sterling and Petr Yan. So a really exciting main event. We've got 13 fights, 13 really good fights. And before we get in the video, folks, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more UFC here on the channel. So our first fight is between Belbita and Hannah Goldy in the strawweight division. We will start first here with Hannah Goldy. So she was supposed to fight Loma Lookboonmee earlier on, or last year actually, and they're supposed to fight Jessica Penne twice this year. Both the Penne fights obviously got canceled, and the Loma Lookboonmee fight last year never happened as well due to a Hannah Goldy injury. And she hasn't fought in the UFC. Her only UFC fight was all the way back in August of 2019, where she did lose to Miranda Granger in the Covington Lawler card, all the way back in August in New Jersey. That's her only fight so far in the promotion. She got into the UFC by winning the Contender Series against Kaylee Robbins. That was earlier, that was 2 months before the Granger fight, obviously. And yeah, she won that fight by unanimous decision. Before that, picked up a couple wins over there in Island fights, won 3 fights in the year of 2018, then won in the Contender, and then lost to Miranda Granger by unanimous decision. She also does hold a win over Jillian Robertson in her first ever pro fight. It was Robertson's first ever fight as well, back in Island fights in 2016. Yeah, I mean, hey, I don't know what we're gonna get at Goldy here, and same with Belbita, if I'm being honest with you. Probably one of the tougher fights to read on this entire card, considering we haven't seen Goldy in 2 years, and Belbita, coming into the UFC, she's lost 2 fights. Goldy, again, solid boxer, kickboxer, kind of. I mean, she didn't really do well in the Miranda Granger fight, and Belbita, we'll get to her in a second. She's 0-2 in the promotion. You're likely going to see a stand-up fight between these 2 fighters. Maybe you'll see Belbita try to maybe take this one to the ground, but you're probably going to see a stand-up fight between Belbita and Goldy. And yeah, Hannah Goldy, pretty solid boxing, coming to this fight with a record of 5 wins and 1 loss. And for Belbita, yeah, she hasn't been great in the UFC as well. She's lost her first 2 fights. Now, she took on Liana Jojua in her last one. She lost that fight 2 minutes into the first round. Jojua kept going, 4 arm bars in the first 2 minutes, and eventually she got it. She put away Belbita pretty early in that fight, and then in Belbita's first fight in the UFC, she lost to Molly McCann by unanimous decision back in 2019. Now, how Belbita got into the UFC, kind of questionable. I mean, she comes in on a 4-fight winning streak against the fighter who's making their UFC debut, or their pro debut, excuse me, making their professional debut twice. Oh yeah, 3 straight fights against fighters making their professional debut, and then her last fight before going to the UFC, it was against the same fighter that she fought 2 fights previously, who was making their debut in their first fight. They rematch. It's against a fighter named Anna Marie Powell, and Belbita beats her twice. The second time, Maria Powell is 1-2. The first time she was 0-0. It's just questionable how Belbita got into the UFC. She did fight in KSW. She did pick up a couple wins there. Actually, only 1 win in KSW. She picked up a win. Then she fought Ariane Lipski, of course, for the flyweight championship. She got subbed in the first round of that fight via an armbar by Lipski for the flyweight championship. So it's been a weird run so far for Belbita. Again, just kind of tough to get a good read on this fight. Belbita's 0-2. Goldy's 0-1. She hasn't fought in 2 years, and yeah, Goldy took that Granger fight on somewhat short notice as well. It's just a tough fight to predict. It really is. I was not that impressed with Goldy's fight against Miranda Granger. Belbita has not looked good at all in the McCann and Jojua fights. I don't know. Belbita's 13-6, but take what you want about that record, because she has not beat a winning fighter since she won in KSW in 2016 to get that title shot against Ariane Lipski. So that's saying a lot. For my prediction, look, I'm going Hannah Goldy. I'm not confident at all. I mean, anything could happen in this fight. I think Goldy's probably the better striker, maybe, but I just saw her get outstruck by Miranda Granger for 15 minutes in their fight. And Goldy's strength is supposed to be her striking. It's such a tough fight to read. And again, I know she only took that fight on like a couple weeks notice. I'm going to take Hannah Goldy. I'm not confident at all with this pick, but we're going to go with a Hannah Goldy. Probably a decision win this one. I doubt we see a finish. I think Goldy gets it done by decision. And again, another tough fight to read, really. It's Elise Reed and Sijara Eubanks. Reed making her UFC debut, and we're going to start with her. Only 4 pro fights. A little bit concerning. She is the Cage Fury, the strawweight champion over there. She had 3 fights with the promotion, all 3 of them for the world. I mean, I wouldn't call Cage Fury a world championship, but hey, she fought all 3 times for a championship in Cage Fury. Won the first time by split decision, then unanimous decision, won with a KO in the second round, most recently just 2 months ago to defend her championship. She did fight in Bellator her first fight. She won against a fighter making their debut as well. I mean, she won by KO in the first round, Bellator 231 in 2019. The main event for that card was, get this, Frank Mir and Roy Nelson 2 in the Mohegan Sun over in Connecticut. Yeah, only 4 pro fights, a little bit concerning. Now, Reed's got to keep this one standing. I think she does, because now Sijara Eubanks might not use her jiu-jitsu all the time. She might get beat sometimes with her jiu-jitsu in the UFC, but considering where Reed is in her career right now, I think Sijara Eubanks, obviously, we can say has the better jiu-jitsu and the better awareness on the ground. Now, Eubanks is solid on the feet as well, but if Reed's going to win this fight, it probably will be up there considering her few wins. 2 of her 4 wins have been by KO. Now, one of them, again, was a KO on the ground, but still, again, only 4 fights. 1 of them was in Bellator against a fighter making their debut. 3 fights, hey, good wins in Cage Fury, don't get me wrong. Pretty solid promotion. All 3 of her fights and all 3 of her wins in Cage Fury were for the championship. But again, she's only 4-0, and that's that. So let's talk about her opponent now, and Sijara Eubanks. Now look, Sijara Eubanks should win this fight. Will she? I don't know. I mean, Eubanks is so unpredictable because, I mean, if you look at her career, she's beat Lauren Murphy, who's about to fight for a world championship. She beat Roxanne Modafferi twice, and then she turned around. She lost to Aspen Lau, which isn't a bad loss, and then she lost to Besh Kohea. And then she beats Sarah Moraes, and then she beats Sarah Morris, then she beats Julia Avila. Back-to-back wins, look at that. Then she loses to Kellen Vieira on a main card of a pay-per-view that made you pay to watch that fight. And most recently, she lost to Penny Kianzad. I mean, all of her fights in the UFC have gone the distance, and I'll be honest with you here. I think this one goes the distance as well, no matter what, against Reed. I think Sarge should win. I think she probably will win. Am I confident? No, because really, Sijara Eubanks, again, sometimes she looks very good. Look at the Julia Avila fight. Maybe one of her best performances, really. I mean, beating Avila was a really good win for her, and then she turns around in 2 weeks after that, fights Kellen Vieira, and doesn't look all that great. But, I mean, the Avila fight, she looked good. 29-27, she gets a 10-8 round there as well. Looked good in that fight. And same with the Roxanne Modafferi fight. She beat her twice, and same, she beat Lauren Murphy all the way back in 2018. I think Sijara Eubanks should win this fight. I think the jiu-jitsu is going to play a big factor in this one. Reed's 4 fights and her inexperience really in professional fighting and in the UFC as well is going to be huge. Sijara Eubanks has been here, done that. She's been fighting for a very long time in the UFC, been fighting since 2018, has 7 fights in the promotion. I think she gets the job done. She gets it done by decision. It would not shock me, though, if Elise Reed does pull this one off. It wouldn't surprise me at all. I'm not confident at all with these first 2 fights. I'll be more confident later on in this card, but these first 2, not confident at all. I think Eubanks, though, edges out a decision win. Now we've got Julio Arce and Andre Ewell. Gonna start first here with Andre Ewell, coming off a pretty bad loss. I'll keep it real here. Did not look good in the Chris Gutierrez fight. Gutierrez dominated that fight. It was a pretty good performance for Gutierrez. He has scorecards in that one: 30-26, 29-28, 29-27 for Chris Gutierrez. It was at a catch weight of 140. And before that, for Ewell, went on a 2-fight winning streak. Now, beat Jonathan Martinez in a split decision. Did he win that fight? Maybe not. Did he beat Erwin Rivera? Split decision. I thought he did. It was a close fight, but I thought Ewell did enough to beat Erwin Rivera. Before that, fights Chito Vera, loses, gets TKO'd, beats Anderson Dos Santos by unanimous decision, and then before that, gets subbed by Nathaniel Wood and beats a very old Renan Barão in his UFC debut by split decision over in Sao Paulo, Brazil on the Santos and Anders card. And before that, Ewell was fighting in multiple promotions: Gladiator Challenge, King of the Cage, LFA, CES, among others. Ewell is 17-7 coming into this fight, and yeah, didn't look good in the Gutierrez fight. Really fun style on the feet for Andre Ewell. When he gets to the ground, we do have some problems. I mean, he has been subbed 3 times so far in his career, and what's Julio Arce going to come in there and do? He's going to try to drag you, and he's going to try to put you on the mat. It's a little bit concerning for Andre Ewell. Now, if he does keep this fight standing, he will have a very good opportunity to eventually win this fight, but the Gutierrez fight just got outclassed in that one, and the Rivera and Martinez fights, both close fights. I thought he won the Rivera fight. The Martinez fight, he did not win. Okay, we'll keep it real. He didn't win that fight. Now, you could make the case, I guess, but Jonathan Martinez most likely won that fight. It looked like he did. So, yeah, you really should be losing 3 out of his last 4. Now, he's won 2 out of his last 4 thanks to the scorecards. And again, I thought he won the Rivera fight, but the Jonathan Martinez fight gets tricky. Anderson Dos Santos was a solid win, and the Marlon Vera just got outclassed in that one. It is that damn simple. But if Ewell's going to win this one again, it's going to be via the stand-up game. We will see what happens. Ewell coming in this fight with a record of 17 wins and 7 losses. Now, Julio Arce does really give Andre Ewell a tough match in this one, because, I mean, dude, Arce's good on the feet. He's really good on the ground as well. You saw the Julian Rosa fight, stun him with a head kick and put him him down in the 3rd round. Now, the Akeem Dawodu fight, did he win that fight? Did he not? It was a close fight. Dawodu barely got the split decision win over on UFC 244, but if you disregard the Dawodu fight, and the Shayma Moraes fight is very close as well. It's a split decision loss for Julio Arce. Just didn't get the judges, and the judges just didn't go his way in those 2 fights. But if you disregard those 2 split decision, those 2 very close fights, it's a head kick win over Julian Erosa. It's a win, rear naked choke win over Daniel Tamor. He beats Dan Ige by unanimous decision, UFC 220 in his UFC debut, and then before that picks up a win by KO on the Contender Series the first season all the way back in 2017. Julio Arce has been very great, and if it wasn't for it, hey, if he gets one judge from both the Moraes fight and the Dawodu fight to go his way, he's undefeated in the UFC. He's 5-0, and you're 110% looking at Julio Arce probably in the top 10 considering his wins over Akeem Dawodu and Dan Ige, and hell, even Julian Erosa, who is looking pretty damn good right now. I'm just saying, Juicy J is on a roll, even though he did get knocked out by Sung Woo Choi. Of course, the first time I finally picked Julian Erosa, he gets knocked the hell out in 1 round, but still, Erosa is, if you disregard that fight, looking all right in the UFC. So I think Arce matches up really well in the feet with Ewell. I think he does. It's going to be a close fight in the feet and on the ground. I'm going to give the obvious advantage to Julio Arce. So all around, I think Arce's got it beat on the ground. On the feet, I think it's a very competitive fight, but I might give the slight advantage to Julio Arce as well. Definitely the power advantage with Arce using his kickboxing to his advantage. I'm going to go with Julio Arce to get the win in this one. I think he does get the job done. I like his style on the feet. I like it on the ground, and I think Arce is eventually going to look for the takedown. He's going to look to get this one on the mat, and I think he submits Andre Ewell. I think he does. I think he submits him again. Ewell gets his 4th submission loss on his career. I think it's the obvious advantage here for Julio Arce. I think he's just better down there. I think he gets it done by submission, I'll say, in the 2nd round. So absolute banger of a fight up next. It's Adrian Yanez and Randy Costa. Oh my goodness, someone is getting knocked out. I am pumped. We will start first here with Randy Costa, currently on a 2-fight winning streak in the UFC. The first one being a win over Boston Solomon. He wins that fight by TKO in the 1st round over in Boston. He beats him, again, by KO on that Reyes and Weidman card. And then after that, he knocks out Jordan Newson in the 1st round with a huge head kick on the Covington Woodley card. Comes there right away, head kicks him 40 seconds into the fight, wins the KO of the night as well. Big win to put Randy Costa on the map in the UFC. Now, you got to talk about his first fight in the UFC. It's a loss to Brandon Davis by rear naked choke over on UFC 236. Davis obviously now no longer in the UFC after going on a little bit of a losing streak, now fighting Gulf Coast MMA over in Mississippi, so there's that. But Costa loses that fight to start off his UFC run, picks up 2 back-to-back wins though against Boston Salmon and against Journey Newson. The man has power, I mean, that's for sure. Former Cage Titans fighter in Randy Costa throws with a lot of power. You saw in the Newson fight, one of the first strikes even thrown in that one. Big head kick, Costa lands it flush on the head, puts him right down in the Salmon fight. But in the Salmon fight, I mean, it wasn't even close, let's be real. So Costa coming into this one, all 6 of his wins are by KO. The one loss being that Brandon Davis fight. He got caught in that rear naked choke, UFC 236. Of course, his only loss so far in his pro career. Coming into this one with a record of 6 wins and 1 loss. Now, he's gonna throw out the Adrian Yanez. If you know anything about Adrian Yanez, Yanez throws a lot of volume and he's looking to finish fights as well. So, I mean, this is all the making of a good fight. I almost guarantee you this is gonna be a Dana White. If you don't know, now you know, because someone is probably getting put down. We will now move to Adrian Yanez, and if you saw the Gustavo Lopez fight, incredible performance for Adrian Yanez. Because it's not like Gustavo Lopez was really slowing down as well. Lopez is still throwing a lot. Yanez is throwing a lot of volume as well. He puts him down with the counter right in the 3rd round of their fight. And before that, he head kicks Victor Rodriguez in his first fight in the UFC in the 1st round. Big win for Yanez, and also looked very good in the Contender Series as well. The Brady Huang fight, comes in there, rushes him, really puts him away. Big KO, big flurry of punches in that first 30 seconds of that fight. Puts Huang down to get into the UFC. Yanez has been so impressive so far in the UFC. I've picked him twice so far. Now, will I pick him in this Costa fight? Maybe, because, I mean, dude, you look at his run into Fury as well. Back-to-back wins, and he goes to LFA, picks up a big split decision win over Kyle Estrada in the main event of LFA 78. His losses, I mean, you got a loss to Miles Johnson 2018 by split decision for the Bantamweight Championship in LFA. Close fight, which he did lose, but that's all right. I think the other one is against Domingo Pilarte all the way back in 2017. Lost that one by split decision as well, and then the other one back in 2014. I mean, it's in Legacy in 2014, November of that year. We will disregard that. So the 2 losses, though, split decision, 1 to Miles Johnson, who's a tremendous fighter. He was supposed to fight, of course, against Anderson Dos Santos. That fight got canceled last week, but Yanez, such a good fighter. The power and the volume, so damn good at Yanez. I'm going to take him to beat Randy Costa. I like what Randy Costa does bring to the plate. Honestly, I mean, dude, someone's getting KO'd. Both these guys are going to throw a lot of volume, a lot of power. It's going to be such a fun fight to watch, but honestly, I don't see this one getting out of the first round, considering the power both these guys have, and the way Yanez really kept waiting against Gustavo Lopez, kept picking his spots in that one, still throwing a lot of volume as well, and eventually got him with a counter right. I like Adrian Yanez to put down Randy Costa in this one. I think he gets it done in the first round. It should be a banger, but we're going with Yanez. Now we've got Nasruddin Imavov and Ian Heinisch. We'll start first here with Nasruddin Imavov. His last fight against Phil Hawes is an interesting one. Now he loses the first rounds of that one pretty easily. Hawes in the first round beats him on the feet. In the second round really kind of clinches with him a lot, takes Imavov down. In the third round, Imavov, the third round starts with Hawes doing more of the same, but with about like a minute and a half left in that third round, Imavov's coming back. Hawes is completely gassed, and Imavov is piecing him up. Pretty nice combos right up the middle. Hawes is stunned, and with about like 15 seconds left in that fight, Imavov like has a chance to finish him. Hawes grabs, like desperately gets in the clinch, and yeah, puts him back against the fence, and Hawes wins that fight. But Imavov, you could have scored that round at 10-8. I think one judge did, two didn't. Phil Hawes ended up winning that fight by majority decision, by the way. But Imavov did fight a okay fight. Now, like, he probably could have won it in the third, but that can't distract you from the fact that he did lose those first two rounds pretty obviously. Now, was it the most entertaining style of fight that Phil Hawes did put on in that one? It wasn't, but Hawes did enough to get that job, to get the wins in those first two rounds. So that's Imavov's first or second fight in the UFC. His first fight, it's a win over Jordan Williams. He wins the one by unanimous decision. Back in 2020, he wins on Fight Island. It's home in Aldana, and yeah, Jordan Williams is fighting on the same exact card, and he's later on in the card. We'll get to that fight when we get to it, but yeah, that's Nasruddin Imavov coming to this one with a record of 9 wins and 3 losses before the UFC, fighting in various promotions over in Europe. You got Thunderstrike Fight League, you got Devil's Cage, City Cage MMA, Aries FC, beat Jonathan Mounier in his last fight before heading on over to the UFC by KO in 2019. So that's Nasruddin Imavov. Pretty solid stand-up. He's a very good striker, and we're probably going to see him strike with Ian Heinisch. It should make for a very fun fight. So that's Imavov. Let's talk about his opponent now in Ian Heinisch. And yeah, Heinisch, I thought, won a round over Kelvin Gastelum. Now, he didn't win the fight, but he lost 29-28 on 2 of the scorecards. One of them was a 30-27 in favor for Gastelum. That was his last fight. Unanimous decision loss, UFC 258. Before that, Heinisch TKOs Jaromir Mearshart pretty early in their fight in UFC 250. Wins that one by TKO. Before that, just gets out-wrestled by Omari Akhmedov. UFC 245, unanimous decision loss. And before that, loses to Derek Brunson on UFC 241. Again, another unanimous decision loss. Before that, back-to-back wins over Cesar Ferreira and Antonio Carlos Jr., both by unanimous decision as well. Made his way to the UFC, by the way, by winning on the Contender Series, won by KO. And then before that, he was fighting in LFA. He won their championship in his second attempt. First time he did lose to Marcus Pettis in LFA, lost by arm triangle choke, came back in his last fight before heading on over to the UFC, won by KO at LFA 39 over there in Colorado. Heinisch is a good striker. He is. You saw that in the Jaromir Mearshart fight. His only finish so far in the UFC. Knocked him out in the first round. Now, Jaromir Mearshart's chin, is it great? Let's be honest, it's really not. And that fight was sort of a step down for Heinisch. At least it felt so. I mean, Heinisch is coming off fighting Akhmedov and Brunson, and Akhmedov is going to test free agency now after losing his last fight to Brad Tavares. But Derek Brunson's going to be a guy who's always going to be in that top 10 of the division. And then after that, after the Mearshart win, he fights Kelvin Gastelum, who's a former title challenger, really solid fighter, good striker, good grappler. Gastelum's a very good fighter, and he's going to be fighting Jared Cannonier in a couple months, so that's a fun fight to look forward to in a main event of a fight night. But Heinisch coming into this one against Nasruddin Imavov. It should be a fun fight, but I'm gonna be honest with you. It feels like sort of a step down again for Ian Heinisch. Imavov is a guy that Heinisch, let's be honest, should beat. Now, Imavov's a good striker, but so is Ian Heinisch. And I think in the striking exchanges, I don't think this one hits the mat, by the way. In the striking exchanges, I think Heinisch is the better striker. We've seen him knock out Jaromir Mearshart, who, let's be honest, again, I'll be honest with you a lot in this one. Jaromir Mearshart's not a good striker, but Heinisch did show that he does have the power to put away a guy in Mearshart, and he saw them in the Contender and in LFA. A lot of wins by KO as well. I think Ian Heinisch gets the better of Nasruddin Imavov in this one. It should be a good one. It should be a back and forth fight, and I really think that Imavov will have his moments in this one, but all around I think Heinisch is the better striker, and that's why I'm going to go with Ian Heinisch to beat Nasruddin Imavov. I think he gets it done by decision. So a good heavyweight fight between two heavyweight ranked fighters. and this isn't on the main card. Like, what are we doing? Chris Daukaus and Shamil Abdurakhimov is a fun fight. It is a very good fight. I don't know why this is sitting here on the prelims. I hope it gets bumped up, but as of Sunday night right now, this one's on the undercard. And Mickey Gall's in the main card. We'll get to that one in a minute, but Chris Daukaus, Shamil Abdurakhimov, I'm so excited for this one. We will start first with Chris Daukaus, and now, he's been so good in his UFC career. I mean, he has. Parker Porter comes in there, knocks him out, lands a very nice inside shot, and he puts him away in the first round. Then he beats Rodrigo Nascimento, who just beat Alain Baudot, and did Baudot look good in that first round? Yeah, he looked really good against Nascimento, and then just ran out of gas. Nascimento put him away, but Chris Daukaus knocks out Nascimento, then he comes in, he gets a very big fight against Alexei Oleinik. At that time, I thought, okay, maybe a little bit too high of an opponent for Daukaus. No, never mind, comes in there, absolutely destroys Oleinik, throws a big flurry of punches, just puts him away. Curb Jeans just kind of standing there, you want to take more, Alexei? Yeah, Chris Daukaus put that man away. Big 3-fight winning streak to start off his UFC career. And, I mean, the game plan is simple for Chris Daukaus. He's going to try to come in there. He's going to try and knock you out. All 3 of his wins so far in the UFC have been in the first round. They've all been by KO. I can't tell you how impressed I've been with this guy so far in the UFC. And, hey, in 3 fights, Chris Daukaus is ranked number 10 in the heavyweight division. Up-and-comers. Him and Tom Aspinall have been linked for a while as the 2 up-and-coming heavyweights in the UFC. Daukaus and Aspinall. Watch out for these 2 guys, but first really big test for Chris Daukaus. Now, I know the Alexei Oleinik was a big test for him as well, and Oleinik was one of those guys at the time who I think was number 10. Daukaus took his ranking, but what we have seen out of Alexei Oleinik since then, you saw it in the Sergey fight. Did not look that good in that one, but here's a fight for Daukaus. He's taking on Shamil Abdurakhimov, who just took on Curtis Blaydes in his last fight, and a guy who owns a win over Marcin Tybura. It is such a big opportunity for Chris Daukaus here, and if he beats Shamil Abdurakhimov, we are looking at potential top 5 opponents for Chris Daukaus. I mean, that's how high we are looking at for Daukaus, because Abdurakhimov, he hasn't fought in 2 years. I think he's number 7 right now, which is ridiculous, but that's where we currently stand at the heavyweight division. I'll talk about really the state of the UFC heavyweight division after I give my official prediction on this fight, but back to Chris Daukaus. Tremendous striker, heavy hands. He's trying to put away in the first round, just like he did to Parker Porter, to Rodrigo Nascimento, and against Alexei Oleinik. He's coming to this fight with a record of 11 wins and 3 losses, but really all that matters is those 3 wins in the UFC. He's perfect so far, 3-0, all of them in the first round. Let's talk about his opponent now, is Shamil Abdurakhimov. So Abdurakhimov, kind of kill or be killed in there, really. I mean, it's either he wins by knockout or he kind of gets knocked out. If we're looking at his UFC career, he starts off, he gets knocked out by top 3 Bellator heavyweight in Timothy Johnson, gets KO'd on Mendez versus Ricardo Lamas over in Virginia back in 2015. After that, he turns around, beats Anthony Hamilton by unanimous decision, then beats Walt Harris by split decision, loses to Derek Lewis in a UFC main event in Albany, New York in the 4th round. He gets knocked out by Derek Lewis, turns around, beats Chase Sherman, knocks him out in Shanghai, China, then beats Andrei Arlovsky, the Pitbull, by unanimous decision. Then he beats Marcin Tybura by TKO, and we're looking at a top-rank opponent for him. We're looking at Curtis Blaydes over there in Abu Dhabi, and Blaydes just beat him up. I mean, take down Blaydes, really nasty elbows on the ground, vicious ground pound by Curtis Blaydes, and we haven't seen Abdurakhimov since. That was in September of 2019. That was Khabib and Poirier, and here comes Shamil Abdurakhimov. He's back in there. Now, I don't completely remember what he was ranked for the Curtis Blaydes fight. Don't quote me on this, but I believe he was like 11. Like, I have to look this up, but I do believe he was somewhere in that 11 range in that fight. Now, he has not fought since, and he is now number 7 in the world. I don't get the UFC rankings. I know Junior Dos Santos is no longer in the division. Okay, Abdurakhimov was 9 going into that Curtis Blaydes fight, so there you go. Just look that one up. So he was 9 going into that fight. He's now 7 after he hasn't fought in 2 years. Now I know what the makeup is in there. I mean, it's Junior Dos Santos no longer in the rankings. It's Alistair Overeem no longer in the rankings. But that just shows you where the UFC heavyweight division is right now. We got a guy in Abdurakhimov who has not fought in 2 years, and he's still making his way up the rankings. It's ridiculous. Now, how does Shamil Abdurakhimov win this fight? He lands a bomb on Chris Daukaus. Someone is probably going out. It's one of those heavyweight fights where someone's most likely getting knocked out. Now, does Shamil Abdurakhimov have the advantage on the ground? Yes, he does. Will he go there? I doubt it. It's the same thing I said with Daukaus and Oleinik. Yeah, Alexei Oleinik, if he gets a hold of Chris Daukaus, is he going to win this fight? Yeah, he probably is. Now, did I pick Alexei Oleinik? Sure, I did, but Daukaus caught him early, and that's what he's got to do to Abdurakhimov as well. But most likely, I think we will see a stand-up fight between Shamil and Chris Daukaus. And in a stand-up fight right now, give me Chris Daukaus all day long. I think he beats Abdurakhimov. Now, why do I think this is going to happen? Chris Daukaus has fought 3 times in the UFC since Shamil Abdurakhimov has fought Curtis Blades. He fought twice in 2020. He fought again earlier this year. It's the inactivity for Shamil Abdurakhimov that does concern me. Chris Daukaus has been very active. He's looked very good in his last couple of fights. I'm going Chris Daukaus. I think he knocks out Shamil Abdurakhimov in the first round. I think he gets 4 fights in the UFC, 4 finishes in the first round. And you know what? Put a hype train on Chris Daukaus. I think this is the start of one. If he beats Abdurakhimov, this is a big fight for him. He jumps up to number 7 in the rankings. And with the win over Chris Daukaus, you're looking at either Marcin Tybura or you're looking at Alexander Volkov for Daukaus. I'm just telling you, this man is making his way up the rankings. Him and Tom Aspinall, watch out, because Daukaus is a monster. If he puts away Abdurakhimov, which I think he will, you're only looking at either Tybura's 8 or you're looking at the top 5, Volkov and on. I'm pumped for this one. I think Daukaus gets it done. It's a shame this isn't the co-main event, but we're going with Chris Daukaus to knock out Shamil Abdurakhimov in the first round. Make sure you watch this card early. Watch the prelims, because this is going to be a banger. Another banger of a fight. It's Punahele Soriano, undefeated fighter, and Brendan Allen. And again, this is on the prelims. I mean, it is a shame that Yanez Randy Costa is on the prelims, Heinisch Imavov is on the prelims, Abdurakhimov Daukaus is on the prelims, and Soriano and Allen's on the prelims. And no disrespect to these guys on the main card, but Mickey Gall, Jordan Williams is on the main card, and Darren Elkins, Darren Minner's on the main card. I don't understand it, but here we are. Tremendous fight right here. Punahele Soriano is an undefeated fighter. Brendan Allen is a guy who's looking with a win here is going to get in the top 15. Winner of this fight will probably enter those rankings, and it is a good one. We will start first with Brendan Allen, who is a slight underdog to start off this fight. With the lines open, Brendan Allen's an underdog. It's crazy, but coming off that big win over Carl Roberson, gets him to the ground, UFC 261 in Jacksonville, gets him with that ankle lock, puts him away in the first round. Brendan Allen's been almost perfect so far in the UFC, and we'll get to his one loss in a second here, but he comes in off of LFA. He's the middleweight champion over there in LFA. He did have some struggles. That was in his 3rd attempt winning the LFA championship. The first time ran into Eric Anders back in 2017, lost that one by unanimous decision. Then fought Anthony Fluffy Hernandez by unanimous, and lost that one by unanimous decision over in 2018. Came back, finally picked up the win against Tim Hiley, submits him with a rear naked choke, winning the middleweight championship, then defended it once, got the call up to the Contender Series, beats Aaron Jeffrey by rear naked choke, then beats Kevin Holland in his first fight in Boston, gets him with a rear naked choke, then TKOs Tom Breese on the Benavides Figueiredo 1 card in Norfolk, Virginia, then beats Chris Daukaus and Kyle Daukaus, not Chris, in such a fun fight. I will say it to this day, it's such an underrated fight. He got overshadowed by Poirier Hooker in the main event, but it's a good fight. Brendan Allen beats him by unanimous decision. And then he runs into Sean Strickland. I thought Allen was going to get the better of Strickland in that one. It was a somewhat competitive fight, but in the second round, Strickland put him away. TKO'd him on the Felder Dos Anjos card. That is going to happen to you, though. And if you're looking at Sean Strickland now, he beats Jotko. He's now in a main event of a fight night next week against Uriah Hall, which unfortunately is the second biggest MMA card next week, and we'll get to that when we get to that. I mean, hey, Pitbull, AJ McKee, oh my goodness, what a fight in Bellator. 2 MMA videos, by the way, coming out next week. Be on the lookout for that Pitbull, AJ McKee card in Bellator. I'm so excited. But Brendan Allen takes on Sean Strickland, who is a good fighter, and he just gets beat in that fight. And there's no harm in losing to Sean Strickland. There really isn't. And when he wasn't having success getting him to the ground, and when he couldn't get Sean Strickland to the ground, he just lost. But it's all right. Coming back, the Roberson fight, picking up a win against a very good fighter in Carl Roberson is so important for Brendan Allen. He's back on track, and the way he got the win too, with an ankle lock in the first round in front of a full crowd, by the way, in Jacksonville. It's such a big win for Allen. I'm excited he gets this shot here against Punahele Soriano, who is an undefeated fighter in his own right. It's such a good fight. Allen, obviously, the game plan is simple. He's trying to get this one to the mat. Soriano, if he strikes Soriano, he's gonna lose just like he did against Sean Strickland. Now, if he can get to the ground, different story. We might be looking at a fight like he had against Kevin Holland. So that's Brendan Allen, 16-4. Let's talk about his opponent now in the undefeated Punahele Soriano. And did Soriano look good in his last fight? UFC on ABC 1 over in Abu Dhabi. He beats Dusko Todorovic, KOs him in the first round. Big win for Punahele Soriano on, national TV on ABC. And before that, he beats Oscar Peyote. And real quick, the Dusko Todorovic fight, now, it might not look as good now, considering Todorovic did lose his last fight, but still, it's a good win. Before that, beat Oscar Peyote with a really nice left hook in that one, KOs him in the first round. UFC 245, Usman Covington won. And before that, he beat Jamie Pickett on the Contender by unanimous decision. And before that, also did fight in LFA. Soriano's a good striker. He does have the grappling. We did see him pick up a win over in LFA, a couple wins in LFA, by rear naked choke, or in the independent promotions, excuse me, with rear naked chokes. But when you get down to it, Brendan Allen's a better grappler than him, and Brendan Allen's a better grappler than a lot of these guys in this weight class. But where Soriano has the advantage, obviously, is on the feet. Soriano's a better striker than Brendan Allen. He's got more power than Brendan Allen, and that's how he's going to try to win this one. That's where he has to win this one. But this is why this fight is so interesting, and this is why this fight is so hard to call, really, because Allen, if Allen is able to get a takedown in the first round, if he's able to really control Punahele Soriano on the ground, you're going to see maybe a replica of the Kevin Holland fight, where Allen just swarms him on the ground and eventually finishes him, or same like the Carl Roberson fight, where he swarms him on the mat, and he overwhelms him, and he finishes him. Now, if Punahele Soriano can stuff a takedown, we're looking at maybe a replica of the Todorovic fight, where Soriano comes in there, puts him away in the first round, or same like the Sean Strickland and Brendan Allen fight, where Allen does get finished in the second round of that one. There's so many different ways this fight could end, and that's what makes it so exciting, because the striking of Soriano's there. He does have some okay grappling, but in the long run, Allen's grappling is going to be better, and Allen's striking is all right, but he really can't stand on the feet. With Soriano, it's such an intriguing fight. Really, hey, odds are about even on that one. On this one, I think Soriano's a very slight favorite. Do you think Allen can land that takedown or not? It really is. If Allen can land that takedown, I feel very good in him winning this fight. It all depends the first one, honestly. And if Soriano stuffs that first one, I think he wins the fight. So it all comes down to that first takedown, and honestly, I'm going with Brendan Allen. I think he does get that takedown. Now, this could definitely 120% bite me in the ass at the end of the week, but I think this is a levels fight. I think Brendan Allen's ground game is too good for Punahele Soriano, and Soriano's good. He's a prospect. He's an up-and-comer. He's currently undefeated, but I think this is a little bit more than he can chew in this one. I think Brendan Allen's going to get him to the ground. I think he's going to submit him, and hell, I'm going to say statement win. I think Brendan Allen submits him in the first round. Yeah, I think it's a statement victory here for Brendan Allen. I think he gets it done. Brendan Allen's one of these guys who is looking at really the top 20 of the weight class right now. Soriano's like a top 30 guy. I think Allen gets the job done and he puts him away. Dusko Todorovic was a good win for Punahele Soriano. Yeah, it was. But what did we just see? Todorovic got knocked down in his next fight, and it really made the Soriano fight just look like another fight where Soriano knocked him out, because Todorovic did not look good against Gregory Rodriguez in his last fight. I'm taking Brendan Allen to get the job done in this one. I don't think he's going to allow Punahele Soriano to hit him when he comes in. And obviously, Allen's looking for that takedown. I think he's going to land it. I think we see almost a replica of the Carl Roberson fight. I think he puts away Punahele Soriano in the first round by submission. Big, bold pick, but we're going with it. Allen first round sub. Now to open the main card, we've got Jordan Williams and Mickey Gall. Now I get why this is on the main card. I kind of went on a rant earlier how this fight shouldn't be on the main card. Okay, I know why it is on the main card. Mickey Gall beat CM Punk, okay, and he beat Sage Northcutt. There, Mickey Gall's somewhat of a name. Okay, now on to this fight. Jordan Williams, coming to this one, getting a pretty solid fight against Mickey Gall. Now, Jordan Williams is coming off a loss to Nasruddin Imavov. Imavov's lower on this card, but Imavov beats him by unanimous decision, and before that, Williams beats Gregory Rodriguez. KOs him in the first round. Big win for him in the Contender Series in his second attempt on that show. He lost to Razman Kurmagomedov before that. Loses by split decision in a closer fight than a lot of people anticipated. Williams did hold his own in that fight against Kurmagomedov. And before that, fought in Bellator, fought Diego Herzog back in 2019, finished him in the third round on Rory McDonald versus John Fitch over there in the SAP Center in San Jose, California. And before that for Williams, did fight the Contender Series as well, actually in his first attempt. That fight was a no contest though. And then before that, fight got overturned. Before that, fought in Bellator as well, fought in Dragon House, a lot of various promotions over there in Northern California. The first fight in Bellator 199 back in San Jose as well. That's Bader and King Mo again at the SAP Center. So Jordan Williams coming to this fight with a record of 9 wins and 4 losses. I mean, if you want something to note, he did fight Max Griffin all the way back in 2010. So there's that. Max Griffin now owns a win over Carlos Condit. Didn't see that one coming, but Williams did beat him back in an amateur fight in 2010. But he is coming off that loss against Nasruddin Imavov. But don't get me wrong, Imavov's such a good fighter, such a good striker. It's tough to pick up wins against that guy. And there's no real shame in losing to him. So Williams coming to this fight with a record of 9 wins and 4 losses. A very good striker in Williams, a lot of power. When he connects, he is going to land, and he's going to land hard. So that's Williams. Let's talk about his opponent now in Mickey Gall. Okay, Mickey Gall has not been all that impressive. The fight that really showed me that Mickey Gall is not all that great, it wasn't the Randy Brown fight, because the Randy Brown fight, okay, it's just a tough fight for him, UFC 217, I get it, it was his first loss. It was the Diego Sanchez loss. That fight was only 2 years ago, guys. He got TKO'd by Diego Sanchez. He got just completely folded in that one. Diego Sanchez worked the body so well. The last really good Diego Sanchez performance. Because Mickey Gall was supposed to win that one, and Diego Sanchez just went right through him. Gall does bounce back. He picks up a win by unanimous decision, and then he loses to Mike Perry in a fight where Mike Perry is just a dominant wrestler. He takes down Mickey Gall a couple times. He slams him down, even though Gall did actually win a round in that fight, which is surprising. But Mickey Gall, once he does, like, if you're in Mickey Gall's guard, it is somewhat interesting because Gall is a very good jiu-jitsu practitioner. Now, his striking is very green. He's not that good of a striker. And, like, I could go through his entire UFC career right now. Okay, Mike Jackson. He beats a fighter, Mike Jackson, who's making his pro debut. Gall's 1-0. I mean, they find him on the, I believe it's Dana White looking for a fight. He wins by rear naked choke. He beats Mike Jackson. CM Punk comes in the octagon. Gall wants to fight CM Punk. He beats CM Punk. Takedown, rear naked choke in 2 minutes. And then CM Punk and Mike Jackson had their fight, which is now overturned, by the way. So, hey, maybe CM Punk gets another shot. He's only 0-1 right now. But, maybe he gets another shot, but going into the Punk-Mike Jackson fight, all the promos were, we both lost our first ever fight to Mickey Gall. We're trying to bounce back now, which is, it's bad when two guys are fighting on a main card of a pay-per-view. They made you pay to watch CM Punk and Mike Jackson. Trust me, I paid to watch that fight too. But two guys who lost to Mickey Gall. But the fight that showed, Mickey Gall's actually not that bad was the Sage Northcutt fight. He beat Sage Northcutt when Sage Northcutt was on top of the world. You got Northcutt and Van Zant on the same card. They're both supposed to win. They're in Sacramento. And yeah, Mickey Gall beats him. He subs him by rear naked choke. And then he fights Randy Brown and loses. That's not the worst loss. He comes back, beats George Sullivan, rear naked choke finish again on Gaethje Vick in Lincoln, Nebraska. Beats him in a minute. Then he loses to Diego Sanchez, picks up another win, and the Mike Perry fight wasn't all that great. But Mike Perry, again, that was a levels fight. Perry's better than Mickey Gall. Mickey Gall's not a great UFC fighter. He's got a name, and that's kind of why he's here at this point. But no, Gall is still solid in it. If you are caught in his guard, it does get tricky. So, Jordan Williams obviously is going to try to keep this one standing, because if he keeps this one standing against Mickey Gall, he's going to win the fight. Mickey Gall got dominated on the feet by Diego Sanchez, and you saw what happened when Mickey Gall could not get Diego Sanchez to the ground. Imagine what's going to happen if Jordan Williams can keep a fight standing against Mickey Gall. Gall has got to get this one on the ground as soon as possible. I don't care if it's pulling guard. I don't care if it's a takedown. Gall has got to get this one on the ground, and he's got to get Jordan Williams in his guard, where he's got to be on a dominant. He's got to be in a dominant position, on top. Is that going to happen? No, Jordan Williams knocks him out there. If he had trouble with Diego Sanchez in 2019, he's going to have trouble with Jordan Williams. I think Jordan Williams just KOs Mickey Gall in the second round. I think he's going to put a beating on him. If Gall cannot find that takedown, he's going to get stopped on the feet. Mike Perry fought a weird fight with Mickey Gall where he's trying to show, okay, I can wrestle. New camp, I'm training on my own. I can wrestle. I want to just show, hey, I can beat a jiu-jitsu guy on the ground. That's what Mike Perry did in that fight against Mickey Gall. If he was standing with Mickey Gall for 3 rounds, he's probably going to stuff all those takedowns. He's probably going to beat Mickey Gall on the feet. He probably would have finished Mickey Gall on the feet. Jordan Williams is going to finish Mickey Gall on the feet. I think he gets it done by second round TKO. I think he works the body, works the head. Williams gets the job done, beats him by TKO in the second round. Now a fight here at 125 pounds between Miranda Maverick and Maycee Barber. We'll start first here with Miranda Maverick, currently on a 2-fight winning streak right now in the UFC. First fight, win over Liana Jojua. Really nice stoppage in that one for Maverick. It's a doctor stoppage, but still cuts the nose right open of Liana Jojua. Pretty damn ugly, but she wins that fight. Good striking performance in that one for Maverick. And then the Jillian Robertson fight. Hey, she won that first round, lost the second, won the third. She showed, hey, coming in that one, she's down, or it's 1-1 going into the third. I don't know how you saw that 30-27. I had it 1-1 going to the third. Comes in the third round, beats Jillian Robertson on the ground and on the feet. It was such a good performance from Miranda Maverick. I speak very highly on that win. Beating Jillian Robertson shows that you are a very good fighter at 125. You are a top 10 fighter, no doubt about it. So, she comes into this fight with Maycee Barber. Now, will Miranda Maverick stand and strike with Maycee Barber? If she has a choice, hell no, she won't. Miranda Maverick's going to come in here. She's going to try and take down Maycee Barber. Why wouldn't you? Because if you look back at Maycee Barber's last couple of fights, you look at the Roxanne Modafferi fight. I know she tore ACL in that fight. I know that's a very unfortunate situation for Maycee Barber, but still, she got out wrestled in that one. She got out grappled in that fight. You look at the Alexa Grasso fight. She was getting pieced together in the feet, and that really doesn't matter in this fight, though, against Miranda Maverick, because Maycee Barber will have the striking advantage against Maverick in the power advantage, and she will have the overall volume advantage against Maverick. That's not the point. she tried to take down Alexa Grasso in the second round. She does, but Grasso ends up on top, and Grasso's threatening with an arm triangle. She's threatening with the rear naked choke. She takes her back. In the third round, more of the same. Barber does land a takedown, but Grasso gets straight back up. So I don't like the grappling of Maycee Barber against Miranda Maverick. I don't, because Maverick is so good on the ground. She knows what she's doing on the mat. Now, she was put in a couple not great scenarios on the mat against Jillian Robertson. There is a spot where Robertson looks like she does have her back. Miranda, though, does get out of that, but it's a tough stylistic matchup for Maycee Barber, because yes, if she stands with Miranda Maverick, will she beat her? Obviously, but there's always the threat of the takedown from Maverick, and I say this time and time again, your wrestling always makes your striking better. It does. Barber's always going to be looking out for the takedown on this one, and that will make Miranda Maverick striking a lot better than it actually is. So that's Miranda Maverick coming to this fight with a record of 9 wins and 2 losses. I just completely broke down how she's going to win this fight, and it's a pretty damn good strategy for her. She has only lost twice so far in her pro career. It's back in Invicta back in 2018. She lost to Deanna Bennett. Not a bad loss. And then most recently, I mean, big wins. She got the one back against Deanna Bennett on the Phoenix Invicta series back in 2019. Then beat Pearl Gonzalez. Then beat Jojua. And then Jillian Robertson. Obviously, Maverick's looking to get this one to the mat and looking to get a stoppage on the ground. So that's Miranda Maverick. Let's talk about our opponent now in Maycee Barber. So Maycee Barber, once looked at to be maybe the youngest UFC champion in history. Now, how is she ever going to get past Valentina? I don't know, but that's what the UFC was promoting her as. Comes into the UFC off the Contender Series. She beats Hannah Cifers, knocks her out in the second round, knocks out JJ Aldridge, beats Jillian Robertson in the first round on UFC on ESPN. She's on top of the world. Comes back, fights Roxanne Modafferi, loses by unanimous decision, blows her knee out, and Modafferi dominates her on the ground. Then comes back to the Alexa Grasso fight. She's getting outstruck. Barber goes for it. Don't get me wrong. It's an entertaining fight style. She's going to try to finish the fight. By the way, that's a co-main event of a damn pay-per-view. I don't understand, but that card is bad, by the way. Go back UFC 258. I mean, there were some fun fights, but name value-wise, holy crap, that card is terrible. But she's swinging with a lot of power on that one. She's trying to end the fight against Alexa Grasso, but Grasso is such a good technical striker. Grasso stands right there, and she's waiting for Barber to throw. Nice counter shots by Alexa Grasso. It shows you how good of a striker Alexa Grasso is. And that's no shame in losing a boxing fight against Alexa Grasso. That isn't. But what I mentioned earlier about Maycee Barber fighting Miranda Maverick, this is where I worry with Maycee Barber. On the ground, she got swept by Alexa Grasso on the mat. I don't like that when you're fighting Miranda Maverick. And like, it's obviously, I don't care that, again, I don't care in this fight against Maverick that she got outstruck by Grasso. It does not matter, because no matter what, for the most part, Barber should have a striking advantage against Miranda Maverick. My problem is, how is she going to stop the ground attack of Maverick? I don't know how she does. Now, obviously, she's got some a takedown, but Maverick is going to keep shooting, and Maverick striking is not all that bad, really. I know I'm saying how, oh, Maycee Barber, I know it seems like I'm saying that Barber has like some tremendous advantage on the feet. It's not all entirely true, because Maverick's pretty good on the feet as well. Not as good as Barber is, but still, man, I don't like the fight for Maycee Barber. I don't like it. Coming off 2 straight losses, she's undefeated, fights Modafferi, fights Grasso. She should be fighting an unranked fighter just to try to get a win back. I don't like the placement of this one. I truly think it's a bad fight for Maycee Barber, and I'm going with Miranda Maverick to win this fight. And I'll say, I think she submits Maycee Barber. I think she does. Alexa Grasso almost submitted Maycee Barber with an arm triangle choke. Imagine what Miranda Maverick's going to do to her. I'm going Miranda Maverick, second round submission against Maycee Barber. I think she has the clear advantage on the ground. All it takes is one takedown from Miranda Maverick, and even if it gets stuffed the first time, it gets stuffed the second time, she's going to keep shooting against Maycee Barber. And what I said earlier, her wrestling makes her striking better. So if she can't land that first takedown, Barber is always worrying about that first takedown, or that second takedown. And if she's not worrying about the takedown at all, well, Maverick's just going to take her down. So there you go. Miranda Maverick's going to submit Maycee Barber in the second round. Now we have got Darrick Minner taking on Darren the Damage Elkins. I will start first here with Darrick Minner, coming off a pretty big win over Charles Rosa in a fight where he just completely dominated Rosa. I mean, the final scorecards in that one, you got 30-26, 30-27, 29-27. You got that 10-8 round there for Darrick Minner. It was that dominant. It's not often you see Charles Rosa get beat on the ground like that, and Darrick Minner did exactly that. Before that, he beat T.J. Laramie, a fight that maybe was he not supposed to win? Probably not. He beats him by a guillotine in the first round, 50 seconds. Wow, right? Minner, first fight in the UFC, runs into Grant Dawson, but hell, Grant Dawson, fighter is 17-1, only 1 loss in his entire career, coming off a big win over Leonardo Santos. I mean, Minner's good, man. Darrick Minner is a very underrated fighter. I know it just, you see the 26 wins, you see the 11 losses, but if you look at the losses, man, he's been fighting for so long, since 2012. He's got a lot of good fights on his resume. Comes in the UFC. I mean, like, now, if you now look at it, right? He gets the shot on the Contender Series. Loses to Herbert Burns. No shame in that. Gets submitted by Herbert Burns. Tremendous jiu-jitsu player. After that, he fights in Midwest CF over in North Platte, Nebraska. He submits Terrence McKinney, UFC fighter Terrence McKinney, in 50 seconds. Then picks up against Charlie Dubray in Lincoln, Nebraska. Submits him with a shoulder choke. Then comes in the UFC, fights Dawson, loses, no shame. Beats T.J. Laramie, big win. Beats Charles Dorso by destroying him on the mat. He also fought Clay Colliard, by the way. PFL's own Clay Colliard back in 2018. Again, in Nebraska. Darrick Minner is so good on the mat. He is so good on the ground. Now, if he stands with Darren Elkins, will he lose? Probably. But Darrick Minner, it only takes one takedown from him, and the way he beat Charles Rosa and the way he dominated Charles Rosa on the ground was so impressive. Showed you the TJ Laramie guillotine. The 50-second guillotine was not a fluke at all. Minner's so good on the ground. He's got 22 wins by submission. Now, has he been submitted 8 times on the ground? Sure he has, but when he's the dominant grappler in a fight, he's got the pure advantage, and obviously, he's the better grappler than Darren Elkins. He's going to have that advantage, and once he's a better grappler, hey, Darrick Minner is always looking for a finish on the ground. He's going to have control in this one, and he's always going to look to put an end to the fight. So Minner coming in this one, record of 26 wins and 11 losses. Let's talk about his opponent now. In the damage, Darren Elkins. So like Jeremy Stephens, Darren Elkins, one of these guys, has just been fighting for the longest time. And now, will Jeremy Stephens get another fight in the UFC after losing to him in 2 scam row? I do not know. I hope he does. Maybe he fights Cowboy. That would actually be somewhat fun. Loser goes home. I'm actually down for that fight. But Darren Elkins has been fighting since, get this, UFC Live, John Jones versus one championship future champion, Brandon Vera. He was on that card in Broomfield, Colorado in 2010. Insane stuff right there, man. Like, absolutely insane stuff. He goes in there, he beats Dwayne Ludwig. Ludwig hurts his ankle, but 40 seconds in, Elkins gets the job done. And then guess what? He fights Charles Oliveira after that. He fights Oliveira on Jones versus Mashushenko in San Diego, California. Also, UFC Live, I believe it was on Versus TV, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it was back in the day, man, Versus Television. But he loses by armbar to Charles Oliveira. And, I mean, dude, Oliveira's now the champion. That was in 2010. He goes on a big winning streak, picks up a couple wins. Guys such as Diego Brandao, loses to Chad Mendez, loses to Jeremy Stephens, picks another couple, like 6 wins against guys probably you never heard of. I mean, Chad Skelly's a good win. Marcel Bektic, good win. Michael Johnson actually does beat Dennis Bermudez. Okay, and then he runs into Alexander Volkanovski. Okay, he loses to Volkanovski by unanimous decision. That's going to happen. Volk is the champion now. Going to fight Brian Ortega. Interesting matchup. And that one, we'll get to that one in, what, September is that fight? Then he fights Ricardo Lamas. Okay, it's TKO. That's going to happen to you. He loses to Ryan Hall when he gets spinning wheel kicked by Ryan Hall on that one. He gets beat on the ground, just not a good fight for him. Then he loses to Nate Landwehr in Jacksonville. He just gets outstruck in that one. That fight is a bloody mess. And then most recently, he beats Eduardo Garagori, a fight I didn't think he was going to win that one. He beats him rear naked choke, Santos and Teixeira in the Apex in November. Crazy win, honestly, because I didn't think he was going to get the job done on that one. I was thinking Darren Elkins probably out of the UFC, but he gets another shot now, and he gets it against Darrick Minner. And in every fight, Darren Elkins is going to bleed, most likely. I mean, one punch to the face, Darren Elkins, like, just automatically gets cut. I mean, this guy's been fighting professionally since 2007. First fight was in Bourbon Street Brawl 2 in Chicago, Illinois. He wins a fight by TKO, January 24th, 2007. So, just shows you how long this guy has been fighting. He has 34 pro fights. He's 25-9, even though Darrick Minner has 37. He's 26-11. 2 veterans of the sport right here. It's a good fight, and Darren Elkins, obviously, he's always got that capability of coming back in a fight, i.e. the Mirsad Bektic fight. He's getting dominated in that one. Comes back, one of the greatest comebacks you are ever going to see late in the 3rd round. KOs Mirsad Bektic, UFC 209. That's a crazy fight. Go watch that on Woodley Thompson, too. But, yeah. Now Darren Elkins, I mean, how old is Darren Elkins? He's 37. Darrick Minner is 31. It's tough picking Darren Elkins, especially in this fight, just because of the grappling that Darrick Minner does have. So, I'm going with Minner. I think he beats him by decision. I think the all-around, like, ground control for Darrick Minner is going to be enough. I think it is. Minner's a better grappler in this fight, and it's tough picking an old Darren Elkins in this one. Now, on the feet, will Elkins have the advantage? Most likely, but hell, maybe Minner surprises you. He's not. Darrick Minner's going to try to take this one to the mat. I don't think he's going to get a finish, but I think he's going to come close. He's going to beat Darren Elkins by unanimous decision. I think 30-27s on all 3 scorecards. Now we've got Raulian Paiva and Kyler Phillips. Paiva making his debut at 135. He missed weight against Zhalgas Jamagilov, and then he was supposed to fight David Dvorak. He missed weight as well in that one, so now we've got him fighting Kyler Phillips. We'll start first here with Raulian Paiva, coming to this fight with a record of 20 wins and 3 losses. Now, he's been fighting flyweight ever since he's made the UFC run. Yeah, he's been fighting flyweight for a very long time. I believe his last fight at bantamweight was in 2017. But he comes in the UFC, wins in the Contender Series Brazil, picks up a split decision win over Alan Nascimento, loses to Kai Kara-France by split decision, loses to Rodrigo Bontorin by TKO, beats Mark De La Rosa by KO, and then beats Jaglas Zhimagulov by unanimous decision. So yeah, Paiva is currently on a 2-fight winning streak, making his way up to 135 for the very first time. He looked good in the Jaglas Zhimagulov fight. And yeah, Zhimagulov now picking up a win over Jerome Rivera, which, I mean, okay, submitted him with the guillotine UFC 264 just recently on the Conor and Dustin card for the 3rd time. But Paiva looked good in that Jaglas Zhimagulov fight. Really just controlled the pace in that one. The Mark De La Rosa fight looked very good as well. My problem with Raulian Paiva fighting Kyler Phillips is he just missed weight in May. Okay, I mean, that's sort of a while ago now at this point, but you're going up to 135 and you're taking on Kyler Phillips. Like, it's such a tough fight because Kyler Phillips, the way he beat Song Yadong, so damn impressive. I mean, the man came in there, decisively beat Song Yadong. I know it was 2 rounds to 1, but like those 2 rounds are pretty dominant for Kyler Phillips. It's just such a tough ask for Paiva. In his first fight at 135, adjusting to this new weight class, taking on a guy in Kyler Phillips who's such a good striker. I don't know. It's just a tough matchup stylistically for Paiva. How does he win this one? It's got to be via the ground game, but it's hard to take down Kyler Phillips as well. So that's Raulian Paiva coming to this fight with a record of 20 wins and 3 losses. Let's now talk about Kyler Phillips. And Phillips looked very good in the Song Yadong fight. I already talked about it. Just pure outclass right there for Kyler Phillips. And yeah, Yadong does win a round in that one, but just such a good performance for Kyler Phillips, showing how he's a guy who's going to be in this top 15 for a very long time. He's number 14 right now in the bantamweight rankings. Before that, beat Cameron Else by TKO. Finished him on the Holman Aldana card in the 2nd round. And then before that, beat Gabriel Silva by unanimous decision over Norfolk, Virginia. Fun fight. Benavides Figueiredo 3, or Benavides Figueiredo 1. He beats Gabriel Silva in 3 rounds. Obviously, his unanimous decision win. Before that, got to win the UFC by winning in LFA. Big head kick knockout to get into the UFC. His only loss is a split decision L to Victor Henry on CXF Rage in the Cage in Burbank, California in October of 2018. Before that, also fought on the Contender Series as well. Kyler Phillips, such a fun fighter to watch. He does actually own a calf slicer. Let me get that one right. Submission win back in 2016 as well. But Phillips is such a good striker. It's going to present such a big problem for Raulian Paiva on the feet. And I talked about it earlier. This fight's going to Kyler Phillips, by the way. Phillips is going to beat Raulian Paiva. Does he finish him? Maybe. I think he probably will. I'm going to go Kyler Phillips 2nd round knockout. But it's just such a tough ask for Raulian Paiva. First fight 135, you take on a ranked fighter in Phillips who's such a good striker. There's a lot of good volume, there's a lot of strikes. Kyler Phillips is going to beat Raulian Paiva in this fight. He's going to put him away in the 2nd round with a TKO finish. So now in our co-main event of the evening, we've got Aspen Ladd taking on Macy Chiasson. A tremendous fight here at bantamweight. We will start first here with Macy Chiasson. So her last fight was a big win over the now retired Marion Renault. Unanimous decision win for Chiasson. Now Renault went on to go fight Miesha Tate. Lost that one by Tate. TKO in the 3rd round. Hey, picked that one right, but it's all right. Macy Chiasson beats Renault. Before that, beats Shanna Young by unanimous decision. Loses to Lena Landsberg before that by unanimous decision. Beats Sarah Morris by TKO. Beats Gina Mazzani before that, and then submits Penny Kianzad for the finals of the Ultimate Fighter season 28, where bunch of bantamweights fighting at featherweight. Sure, Chiasson won the featherweight Ultimate Fighter tournament, and then of course went back to bantamweight to fight Mazzani and then beat Sarah Morris, and the rest is history. So Macy Chiasson is a very good striker. You saw her actually knock out Larissa Pacheco in the 1st round of the Ultimate Fighter, and Pacheco now is the number 1 seed in the PFL playoffs. I'm excited for that. We're probably going to see her and Kayla Harrison for the 3rd time in the finals of the PFL this season. Again, probably. I mean, yeah, Kayla Harrison ain't losing, but yeah, it's a good win for Macy Chiasson over Larissa Pacheco. Looking back at it now, don't know why the UFC didn't decide Pacheco to just get fed to Amanda Nunes. Don't know why they didn't do that, but it's all right. Chiasson after that beats Leah Letson, and then comes on, beats Kianzad, and yeah, the rest is history. So Chiasson is a good striker and a good grappler as well. Very well balanced fighter. You see the striking. You saw that in the Marion Renault fight. Really controlled the pace of that fight. Looked good striking in that one as well. And then the same thing can be said in the Shanna Young fight. The Renault fight, you got the scorecards in that one. Yeah, you've got 29-28 across the board for Macy Chiasson. It was a pretty good performance for her. Hey, now she's ranked pretty high in the weight class. Being a ranked fighter in Renault will do that. And now she is currently ranked number 9 in the weight class. And yeah, that's probably where she will be. I don't think Miesha Tate will jump her, even though, I don't know. I'm getting the feeling that they're going to put Miesha Tate in the top 5. I don't know. They might do that. But most likely she'll enter like around 10. So she'll probably enter below Macy Chiasson. I don't know why Chiasson is 9, Landsberg's 10, even though Landsberg beat her. The rankings don't make sense, I know, and yeah, Landsberg has not fought since when? Sarah McMahon in 2020, early 2020. Again, UFC is all weird, but yeah, that's where Macy Chiasson is. She's number 9. If she beats Aspen Ladd here, you're talking maybe maybe 1 or 2 fights away from the belt, just considering how women's bantamweight is currently going. And yeah, it's Macy Chiasson. Coming to this fight with a record of 7 wins, 1 loss. Good striking, good grappling, all around very good fighter. And Aspen Ladd is back. So she tore her ACL and her MCL when she's supposed to fight Juliana. Actually, no, she's supposed to fight Juliana Pena, but then Pena pulled out. And she's supposed to fight Sarah McMahon last summer. Ladd, though, unfortunately tore her ACL and her MCL, so she is back now fighting Macy Chiasson. It's been a long time coming. She's supposed to fight last June. Now, of course, we are in July of 2021. Taking on a good fighter, Macy Chiasson. So Aspen Ladd pre-knee injury comes to the UFC, beats Lena Landsberg in her first fight. TKOs her in Poland on the Cerrone Till fight card. Big win for her. Then she beats former Invicta champion Tonya Evinger, TKOs her in UFC 229, picks up a performance bonus in the process, then beats Sijara Eubanks, and then she gets her first main event shot in Sacramento. And I will keep saying this, why Uriah Faber was on the main event of this card against Ricky Simone, I don't know. The crowd would have gone absolutely crazy when Faber won in the main event, even though they did in the co-main event anyway. But still, Faber Simone should have been the main event of that card, but it's all right. Drainer enemy Aspen Ladd. Drainer enemy lands 1 punch, puts her down. Herb Dean stops the fight. I will defend Herb Dean on this one. I think that was a good stoppage. I don't think Aspen Ladd was coming back from that one. Herb Dean saved Aspen Ladd from 3 more punches that was going to be undefended by Aspen Ladd. I like the stoppage. I don't think she's going to do much. Maybe she could have ate 1 more punch, but Duranemy was going to win that fight. I feel pretty confident in saying that. So she loses to Duranemy. She tries to appeal that fight, calls sexism on it. Whatever. She loses the fight. Doesn't get the appeal. It's all right. Comes back, beats Yana Kunitskaya. Comes into that 3rd round, absolutely goes for it. Like, her coaches tell her, okay, like, you're probably winning this one, but in the 3rd round, Aspen Ladd absolutely goes for it, puts away Yana Kunitskaya 30 seconds into that fight, Overeem Rosenstrike in December of 2019. And if that's the Aspen Ladd we're getting for this Macy Chiasson fight, she's probably going to beat Macy Chiasson. Now, how does Chiasson win this one? It's probably on the ground, but who knows? Maybe Macy Chiasson does try to strike with Aspen Ladd and let the better striker win in this one. I like the fight. It's a competitive fight. It's a good fight back for Aspen Ladd in her first one. Since the knee injury, I'm glad they didn't throw her in there with like a Holly Holm in her first fight, or even like an Irene Aldana. I like that they did give Ladd, who is the number 3 contender in the world, number 9 in Macy Chiasson. It's a good fight to get her back in there, and if Macy Chiasson wins, look at that, Chiasson probably is number 3 in the world. So it's a big opportunity here for Macy Chiasson, big opportunity for Aspen Ladd, who I would say is 2 fights away from the title shot, beats Chiasson, and probably a date with Holly Holm is looking right at her, or maybe even a rematch with Drain Durandamy, who knows, but I'm going with Aspen Ladd to win this fight. I think she's the better striker with Macy Chiasson. The power that Ladd does bring to 135 is unlike a lot of fighters that you will see at this weight class. Macy Chiasson has not fought a striker with the power that Aspen Ladd does have. Lena Landsberg does have some power, don't get me wrong, but Aspen Ladd's got more power than Marion Renault, Shanna Young, Sarah Morris, Penny Kinzad definitely, and Gina Mazzani, obviously. So Aspen Ladd, I think, is a different fighter than Macy Chiasson obviously has fought so far in her career, and I think Ladd's striking will be a big advantage for her in this one. I don't see this one hitting the mat. If it does hit the mat, I will give a slight advantage to Macy Chiasson. Just don't see it getting there, though. I think Ladd wins a striking fight in this one. I think she will put it on Macy Chiasson. One of the rare fighters at the women's divisions, if we're being honest, that does get a lot of finishes on the feet. I think she gets another one here tonight. It's going to be a statement win for Aspen Ladd in her return to the UFC. I think she puts away Macy Chiasson with a 3rd round TKO and give her either the rematch with Drain Durandamy or give her Holly Holm, and then she's 1 more fight away from the title if she can win that next fight. So, hey, Aspen Ladd again, a win over Chiasson, a win over either Holly Holm and Drain Durandamy. You're looking at her fighting either Amanda Nunes, Juliana Pena, or maybe Misha Tate. Let's be honest, it'll probably be Amanda Nunes. We'll see. Ladd it's kind of interesting fighting against Nunes. I mean, it's Amanda Nunes, but who knows? Aspen Ladd, though, I think she gets the job done by 3rd round TKO. It is time. It's time for the main event of the evening. We've got the former bantamweight champion in T.J. Dillashaw returning after a 2-year suspension to take on the Sandman, Cory Sandhagen, who is currently on a big 2-fight winning streak over Marlon Moraes and Frankie Edgar, looking to potentially get a rematch against Aljamain Sterling for the World Championship, or maybe Piotr Jan if he does beat Sterling. Who knows? But Sandman's looking for another shot at the belt. Dillashaw's looking for another shot at the belt. This is a number 1 contenders fight. I am so pumped. Big main event, 5 rounds. We were supposed to get this earlier on in the year. Dillashaw had a cut on his forehead due to an injury in training. That's all right. We get it right now. Let's go. TJ Dillashaw up first. So, last fight was at flyweight. Okay, it's the Henry Cejudo fight. Just positive for EPO. There's that. He loses that fight. He gets knocked down in the first round by Henry Cejudo. Not what you want. Now, at the time, we kind of thought of that fight as kind of a joke. I'm not going to lie. At least that's what the MMA community kind of thought that fight was, because Cejudo was kind of an illegitimate champion. No one thought he really beat DJ, for being honest. And he goes in that fight and he beats Dillashaw. And it's kind of funny because the 125 weight class sticks around. Then Cejudo says, "Yeah, I want to go up to 35." Of course, the legend of Triple C. I mean, yeah, it was created off that night, but that was a big win for Cejudo looking back at it. Dillashaw got caught. Not ideal in a fight against Henry Cejudo, because we thought at the time Cejudo's chance to winning this fight is via the takedown, using his grappling. Comes there, KOs Dillashaw early in that fight. So before that fight, Dillashaw again had his run at 135. I mean, we can start really with the start in the UFC. Comes in, he loses to John Dodson in the Ultimate Fighter finale show, picks up a lot of big wins, loses to a Sun Tzu, picks up a couple big wins, then fights Renan Barão, knocks out Barão in the upset of the year, beats the #1 pound for pound fighter in Barão, beats Soto to defend the championship, beats Renan Barão again. He knocks him out for a second time, then loses to Dominic Cruz by split decision in a close fight, but I thought Cruz won. Then beats Hassan Tao UFC 200, beats John Lineker, gets another shot at the title. He knocks out Cody Garbrandt after being knocked down in the first round, and then he comes back and he fights Garbrandt again, and he beats him again, and he loses to Cejudo. Okay, how did TJ Dillashaw beat Cory Sandhagen? This is a kickboxing fight. It is troubling, though, for TJ Dillashaw, considering how good Cory Sandhagen has been. We're going to get to Sandhagen in just a second here. But 2.5 years off of TJ Dillashaw, and you come back and you're taking a guy who's red hot in Sandhagen. The only time he's ever lost in the UFC is when he fought, the champion, and the champion went in there, took his back immediately, and subbed him. It's a troubling fight for TJ Dillashaw, considering maybe Sandhagen's only weakness and the toughest matchup for him is the guy he already lost to in Aljamain Sterling, the guy who's trying to get another fight with. I mean, I truly believe Sandhagen probably, on any night, obviously, he can beat any man in the world. But I think the toughest fight for him is the guy with the belt, and it is Aljamain Sterling. So there is that, but for Dillashaw, he's got to try to close the distance in this one, and he's going to try to land a bomb in this. It's tough, considering how long of a fighter Cory Sandhagen is. He's only got a 3-inch reach advantage, which we will see on Fight Night really how big that reach advantage is because Dillashaw is 5'6", Sandhagen's 5'11". Big height differential in this one. Sandhagen's going to look like the way bigger fighter, which he obviously is. So Dillashaw's got to try to close the distance in this one. He's going to try to land a bomb up the middle. It's a tough ask, though, for Dillashaw. Again, 2.5 years off the sport. The last time we saw him, he was getting knocked out by Henry Cejudo in 30 seconds. And that was that flyweight, and I get it. He was cutting a lot. Definitely effed up the chin of Dillashaw to cut down 10 extra pounds. Dillashaw looks drained at 135. He looked really drained at 125. Coming in there to try to slay or try to really kill the 125 division. Didn't happen, and hey, if Dillashaw won that fight, Davidson Figueiredo wouldn't be in the UFC, or he'd be fighting 35. Brandon Moreno wouldn't be in the UFC. We wouldn't have got those two amazing champions out of that fight if Dillashaw would have won. So Cejudo won. Obviously, I think now that was a lot better for the UFC that Henry Cejudo did win that fight and Dillashaw didn't get 2 belts. But TJ's back. He's gonna try to knock out Sandhagen. They're gonna throw. I mean, you can always guarantee that TJ Dillashaw is gonna bring a fun fight. It's just that's how TJ Dillashaw fights. He's always got a fun style. He does land a very nice takedown, very nice double leg. You don't see it often, but sometimes he will try to land it. I don't really anticipate him trying to take down Sandhagen. So, I mean, considering the way that the last wrestler Sandhagen fought got kneed in the face, that's Frankie Edgar. It was tough to watch that fight. But yeah, TJ Dillashaw coming to this one with a current record of 16 wins and 4 losses. Let's talk about his opponent now in the Sandman, in Cory Sandhagen. Sandhagen is on a damn roll if I've ever seen one, okay? So, if we can forget the Aljamain Sterling fight, we're going to talk about that fight more in a second, but big winning streak into the UFC, a lot of big wins by TKO, picks up an armbar win to go over Mario Bautista, beats John Lineker, beats a Sun Tzu, forget the Sterling fight for now. Spinning wheel kicks Marlon Moraes. I mean, like, completely dominates Moraes. And say what you want about Moraes now, and I know what we're getting out of Moraes maybe isn't the greatest. We'll see how he does fight Merab later in the year, which is an interesting fight. Very fun fight. I'm excited for that. But Moraes, I know, did get knocked out by Rob Font, but fought in Sandhagen at the top of the division. And then he flying knees Frankie Edgar. that was kind of sad to watch, but Sandhagen comes in there, flying, absolutely perfect. Egger's kind of leaning in for the takedown. Sandhagen, one of the first strikes of that entire fight, just lands it right on the button, puts away Frankie. Maybe Egger's fighting Sean O'Malley next. I don't know. It's kind of a fun fight. Maybe. I don't know. But we'll talk about the loss, though, for Sandhagen. I know he did lose to Jamal Emmers once in LFA in 2017. That fight does not matter. The fight that matters is Aljamain Sterling and Cory Sandhagen. Now, a lot of people don't think that Sterling is going to beat Piotr Jan, and I'll get to that fight when we get there, probably later on in the year, but that fight's troubling for Cory Sandhagen, because Aljamain Sterling, the way Sterling, okay, I hate it how people think that Aljamain Sterling is just a scrub, because, okay, I'll talk about it right now, the Sterling Piotr Jan fight, I had that fight 2-2 going into the 5th, and yeah, was Jan going to win the 5th round? He probably was, but Aljamain Sterling is a good fighter. And the way Aljamain Sterling beat Cory Sandhagen separated him from the rest of the pack. It separated that, okay, Aljamain Sterling is the obvious #1 contender, came in there immediately, he's the human backpack for a reason, took Sandhagen's back, subbed him right away. That's a troubling fight for Cory Sandhagen. It is, because of how good of a jiu-jitsu game Aljamain Sterling does have. Now, Sandhagen striking with Sterling probably wins that fight, but kind of also shows you how good Piotr Jan is, considering he was probably going to beat Aljamain Sterling in a 5-round fight. There's that, though. So it's a troubling fight for Sandhagen, but obviously, can he beat Aljamain Sterling? Yes, he can. Can Sterling beat him again? Obviously. Can he beat Jan? Obviously. Can Jan beat Sandhagen? Yes. I think all these guys in the top 5 can beat each other. That's why bantamweight's one of the best divisions in the UFC right now. It's such a fun weight class. But the striking Cory Sandhagen is going to present a big trouble for T.J. Dillashaw. And the reach, it's listed only at 3 inches. I guarantee you on fight night, though, it's going to feel like a lot more than 3 inches for Cory Sandhagen. I think he's going to have a big reach advantage in this one. I think he's going to be able to keep T.J. Dillashaw away with his kicks in this one. I think Sandhagen's got a really good advantage here on the feet. It's such a tough ask for Dillashaw in his first fight back. Again, he hasn't fought in 2.5 years. And you're taking on a guy in Sandhagen who just spinning wheel kick Marlon Moraes and flying kneed Frankie Edgar. In back-to-back, the Edgar fight wasn't a main event, but still was a big co-main event spot. The Rice fight wasn't a main event. I'm taking Cory Sandhagen to beat T.J. Dillashaw. I think he knocks him out in the 4th round. I think we're going to see a competitive fight for the first 3 rounds. I think Sandhagen, though, is going to win those first 3. I think Dillashaw has a place in this weight class. I think he does. I think Dillashaw is still a top 10 top fighter at 135. It's just the Cory Sandhagen fight for him is so troubling because Sandhagen's such a good striker, and the height advantage for him, 5 inches of height advantage. He's got a nice reach advantage on Dillashaw as well. I think the kick's going to play a big part. Sandhagen's big highlight reel knockouts in his last 2 fights. Will he pick up another one? He might. I think he's going to really wear on Dillashaw throughout these first 3 rounds, though. It's going to take Dillashaw a little while to get back going in this fight. He hasn't fought in 2.5 years. Dominic Cruz talks about this all the time. He doesn't believe in ring rust, but it's obviously a factor. I think the ring rust might be a little bit of a factor for Dillashaw. I think it will. And we haven't even mentioned, how is Dillashaw going to fight without the EPOs? I don't think it's going to make too much of a difference, but hey, that is always a factor in these fights. He might not be the same 2 years off. He is 35. He is getting up there in age. I think everything points to a Cory Sandhagen victory in this one. I think he gets the job done. I think he will land that knockout blow in the 4th round. And I think Cory Sandhagen takes on the winner of Piotr Jan, Aljamain Sterling 2. And he fights for the world championship for the very first time. So I think the Sandman gets the job done. And for Dillashaw, there's obviously fights for him still in this promotion. I want another Dominic Cruz fight, or hell, give me Uriah Faber if you're trying to get TJ a win. I think it's a fun fight, long backstory. It's a fight that should be made, and for Sandhagen, of course, it's the title no matter what next. So we're going with Cory Sandhagen to knock out TJ Dillashaw. And yeah, that's going to be it, folks. Thank y'all for watching this UFC preview and predictions. An hour and 8 minutes long. I'm so pumped for this card. A lot of sneaky good fights. Hell, Chris Daukaus and Shamil Abdurakhimov on the undercard. So many good fights. You're not going to want to miss this one. One of the best fight cards so far of the entire year. And yeah, we'll be back next week for Uriah Hall, Sean Strickland, and also Patricio Pitbull versus AJ McKee in the finals of the Grand Prix over there in Bellator for the world title. I'm so pumped for that fight as well. So again, folks, thank y'all for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. And Mamba forever.